Welcome back, Shalloners. Today, I want to talk about something you guys have been asking for and I've been thinking about, and like really the whole world has been thinking about: Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's relationship. And not just like, oh, they're in love, they're gonna have a baby. Cool. I want to get to the root of their relationship. I want to talk about how this girl managed to seduce a prince. I want to talk about what weird dynamics are at play, how Princess Diana's death has affected Harry, what's going to happen to the monarchy. There's so much to unpack here because Harry and Meghan are two actually very, very strong and distinct personalities. And more than all of that, I want to talk about the lessons that you can learn from their relationship and take into your own life. Right? So bad. So first of all, just want to let you guys know that if you want to talk to me privately, if you want to talk about Harry and Meghan privately, or your own Prince Charming and how to snag him, find me on the Instant Go app. My username is ShallonXO and click chat to get connected right away. Don't schedule an appointment. It's not a functionality that's enabled. It doesn't make any sense. Just use the chat. And be sure to follow me on social media, ShallonXO on Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram for updates and pep talks and videos and all sorts of stuff. All right. Harry and Meghan. So I've said this in other videos, but if you're new here, welcome. And what I do for a living, I'm an editor at a celebrity weekly magazine. So I get a lot of insider information about celebrities and couples, and certainly the palace. Like, that is a huge thing with our readers. They love Harry and Meghan. So we've focused a lot of content on them. And when those two first got together, I was, of course, heartbroken for myself, because I love Prince Harry. I think he's so dreamy, even though I feel like he's maybe on the opposite side of the dreaminess slope. Like, there was a peak and now, but he's still, I just love him. I just love him and William. And so when he got together with Meghan, I was like, ugh. But, they seemed to make sense. And I liked her because she was so atypical. I hated his ex-girlfriends, Cressida and like Chelsea. They were just so like snooty British, weak-chinned, flat-assed, basic white chicks, I don't know if there's anything wrong with that, but nothing so great about it either. And so I was really excited. I was like, whoa, he's like totally thinking outside of like the norm for the monarchy. Meghan is divorced. She's mixed race. She's American. She's an actress. And I really liked her because she seemed really focused on philanthropy. And like, I love a celebrity until I realize they don't do any charity work. Like, I love the Kardashians, but those bitches do not do one charitable thing, and it makes me want to throw them off a cliff. They could eradicate a disease if they had their social media followers do like $1 donation. They could do another ice bucket challenge. But that's not what we're here to talk about. No, we're here to talk about why we're annoyed with Meghan Markle. So as their relationship progressed, my feelings went from to now I'm at that bitch. And all this kind of culminated with her recent baby shower in New York City. I live in New York City. I know how hard and how easy it is to escape the paparazzi because we employ the paparazzi. Like, we know where to go, where to look. And paparazzi don't just sit outside hotels. They sit outside the Bowery Hotel. I'll give you that, because that's like where celebrities always stay. And celebrities, if they want their privacy, don't stay at the Bowery Hotel, right? Meghan called the paparazzi, called everyone, told every brand that she worked with, the florists, the caterers, the this, the that. Yes, tell everybody that we're here. She wanted a spectacle. We're going to get to that later, but keep that in mind throughout this whole thing. So at the beginning of their relationship, I was like, oh, that's kind of cute, whatever. And I started to really have my doubts when they did their first interview together, because it's like at the time I couldn't put my finger on it, but now I can. She seemed so excited to be doing that interview, but she seemed excited that people were talking to her, not that she was talking about Harry. You know what I mean? She was excited about the attention. She wasn't excited. It was outward facing excitement. It wasn't like facing my husband excitement. And I think we've all known brides like that. It's like, I'm a bride. I'm going to be a bride. It's like, well, you're going to be Mrs. Jones. It's like, yeah, okay. But I'm a bride. It's more about them and their attention, their moment, the spotlight. Like, who they're marrying is actually kind of a second thought. They want that specialness. And the husband oftentimes is just kind of like a role that they've slotted in. It's like a role that they've cast. Like, you'll do. That's fine. I just want to be a wife. I want to be a mom. I want to be a bride. I want to be special, whatever. So I kind of got shades of that from Meghan's interview. And also, she was talking over him. She was answering for him. She was definitely in the driver's seat of that. It was very actressy because I remember when William and Kate got married and they did their first interview together, and they were so cute. Like you could really see shades of the dynamic between them. Like they were kind of like teasing each other and like looking at each other. And I remember when the interviewer was like, "Oh, Kate, we always heard that you had like a picture of Will on your bedroom wall when you were growing up." She's like, "No, sorry." Like it was just so real and so cute. And with Meghan and Harry, it just felt very theatrical. Like, and that was coming from her. And he, meanwhile, seemed mesmerized by her. And I was like, okay. Now that time has gone on, I can see so clearly how she seduced Prince Harry. It's so clear. It's so obvious. To seduce anyone, the key to seduction is this. You have to look for their shadow self and validate it. What am I saying? Every single person has a shadow self. That's kind of what I call it. A shadow self is like the you that other people don't see, don't recognize, or don't validate. You know, either it's like, say you work on Wall Street, you know, you got this big banker guy, and in his heart, he's like creative. One of my good guy fuckboys, like the one who like broke my heart, like he was in love with me for so long because like he was a big like Wall Street dude, but he really wanted to work in fashion. And that just was not something you said. Everyone called him gay, called him a fag, whatever. And like, I mean, he wasn't gay. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I mean, there is if you're dating a woman, there is, but you know, like obviously, but like he didn't feel like he could like say that in his circles. And so I would be like, let's go to a fashion show. Let's do this. Like, why don't you apply to do finance at Zach Posen and blah, blah, blah. And he felt very seen. He felt like someone saw the real him or a dimension of him that he wasn't allowed to show to the world, and they validated it. He showed his like weak, soft little underbelly, and I gave it a nice pet instead of a poke. So that is the key to seduction, the shadow self. We all have a shadow self, and everyone else does too. And it's hard. It's not the kind of thing you can get to just like date number one. It really takes some looking. And more than anything, it takes neutrality on your part. If you are like super crushing on someone, it's going to be really hard for you to see their shadow self because all you can think of is getting them to like you. You know, like you're so caught up in your own feelings, you can't take that step back and evaluate someone neutrally and be like, all right, here's their weak spot. I'm going to press. Like in a good way, you know, I'm going to hone in on that and I'm going to own that little piece of like vulnerable real estate. And here's how you deduce someone's shadow self. What I think, and well, what I found is very helpful is asking someone what compliments they've gotten that have meant the most to them. And you might have to ask this a few different times because off the top of their head, people are probably going to say things that validate their non-shadow self. They're like sunny self, I guess you could call it. They're in the light self. It's like, oh, you know, that I'm good at my job, that I'm a good dad, that I'm a good blah, blah, blah. You got to dig a little bit deeper. And you're going to have to come up with ways based on who your target is, like to ask these questions in a way that feels natural so you get to the root of it. For example, my shadow self is someone who's very sensitive with a big heart. That's one of my, you know, people have many shadow selves, but that's one of them. And that kind of sounds stupid, but look at the life that I live. I have a big, fancy, glittery life. You know, I'm like this badass. I'm an editor and I live in New York City and don't get in my way and high heels and champagne and enjoy them, destroy them. Woo! It's a very like cutthroat, badass life I live and I like it. So it's hard for people to look at me and see that I'm sweet on the inside. You know, I'm like a crunchy exterior and I'm a big fucking softie under it. And I remember that my boyfriend, like years ago, this guy I was dating, I had like mentioned offhand that like I'd been giving out sandwiches to the homeless or something. And when he introduced me to somebody, like one of his best friends, he's like, Shallon has the biggest heart. I was like, what did you say? Like I had to have him repeat it because it meant that much to me. And again, I felt so seen. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, thank you. Because at the time I was literally writing for Gossip Girl. I was Gossip Girl. Like, so for someone to see that side of me and see through like my exterior, was very, very important. And I feel super hard in love with him. And that's part of the reason you want to hang on to someone who sees you. Here's a concept I came up with because we have seen this in our own relationships. We've seen this in our friends. One of my best friends, she's involved with a guy who is not good for a variety of reasons. His other girlfriend could have something to do with that. So, and I'm like, you have to get away from him. She's like, but he likes all the weird parts of me that I feel like nobody likes. First of all, like, I was like, I know you, you're not that weird. I'm like a billion times weirder and I feel completely lovable. And then I realized we are the book and we are looking for a reader. What does that mean? When we have someone who sees our shadow self and sees us, they are the reader and we are the book. And we become fixated on being read. I really want that concept to sink in for you guys because I've wanted to do a video on this for so long and I didn't really know how to like say that. Like, what kind of title is that? You're the book, not the reader. But think about it. When you think about your favorite book, for me, it's The Great Gatsby. I don't want to talk to the first person who ever read it. I don't give a shit. I want to talk to the person who wrote it. I want to read the book. I don't want to talk to the reader. I want to talk to the book. The book is the thing of value. My friend with her weird parts is the thing of value. Prince Harry is the thing of value. I am the thing of value. And so we latch onto the reader that it's given life to the book. Now there's no longer a tree falling in the forest with no one around to hear it. There is someone to witness, to read the masterpiece of my book. Does that make sense? I hope so. I hope I'm articulating this well because it sounded great in my mind. And now that I'm saying it, I feel like I'm kind of like having a stroke and it's not making any sense. So how does this tie into Meghan and Harry, right? Let's get back there. Harry's shadow self. Harry's book is that he has always been kind of the black sheep of this family. And no matter what he did, he was never going to outshine Will. Will was taller. He was hotter for like a really long time. Will was hot. I used to have a framed picture of him on my bed before he lost all his hair. He's like a military star. Harry went in the military. He did all this charity work. Harry did charity work. He married a perfect girl. Harry went through a bunch of like British chicks and still wasn't satisfied. So Harry always felt like he was living in the shadow. Like he was second class. Also probably didn't help that there have been rumors forever that Harry isn't Prince Charles's son. I personally don't believe he is. I think he's like Diana's butler's son, like, or bodyguard. Like if you Google it, like there's a dude out there who's like, oh shit, that's Prince Harry's dad. It's not Charles. Charles has such strong features, you know, those floppy features. And I don't see that in Harry. But so even if he is 100% Charles's son, can you imagine growing up with the world saying that you're not? And then your mom isn't there. There's just he's like an onion. There's so many different layers. So along comes Meghan. And not only does she tell Harry, you are the star of this family. Look at all your charity work. You've done this and this and this. You are the greatest. I don't just want to be a princess. I want to be your wife. I want to stand beside the greatest man in the English monarchy. Not only did she do that, she went one step further, and I believe this feud she has with Kate and William is intentional. I believe that is part of this because that forces Harry to be like the center of the universe. Do you know what I mean? Like by doing that, she shows Harry, I don't care about this monarchy. I don't care about being part of the royal family. I care about you to the point that I'm going to push away the royal family. Fuck them. Who needs them? It's about you. And I'm sure Harry has never experienced that. Everyone he's ever dated, it's like, I want to be part of the royal family. Not, I want to be Harry's wife. We exist in this bubble, crown or no crown, title or no title. And Harry was mesmerized by that. He felt seen. He felt prioritized. He felt like, you know, the king of the castle, so to speak. The irony is, and the reason we low-key hate Meghan, sorry if you don't, I do, is that nothing could be further than the truth. Nothing could be further than the truth that this bitch likes him for him. I mean, she probably does. I'm sure she loves him. You know, he seems lovable. How could you not love Prince Harry? Are you kidding? But make no mistake, she wants to be in the spotlight. If he lost his title, if he abdicated, No. She likes this. People like Meghan can't differentiate between positive and negative attention. You know how I know that she can't? Look at her family. And it's funny that people look at her garbage family and they cannot see how close that apple has fallen from that tree. And I have our company has interviewed her dad. Like he is a fame whore. Sister's a fame whore. If you don't know anything about them, like the dad would like stage these weird photo ops of him like very obviously like reading a book on like English history before the wedding, or like getting measured by a tailor like literally on the side of the road in Mexico where he lives, like before the wedding, and was like getting paid by photographers to stage these things. And it was just so cringy and so it was in such bad taste. And the queen was freaking out. Everyone was just like, it makes me dry out. I need some liqueur. Mm-hmm. Paper straw, don't worry. By the way, key lime flavor of liqueur, not regular lime. Key lime is the wave. It tastes like cotton candy. It's dumb delicious. Anyway, so, and her sister, I think it's her half sister, is also a garbage person. She wrote a book called like The Pushy Princess about Meghan. But it's like, the more I know about Meghan, the more accurate that title is. My point is, Meghan is half of these people. And it's funny, the other half of Meghan is her mom, who seems beyond lovely. Just like a yoga teacher, and like she's a social worker, and she looks like she just smells really good, like vanilla. Like she just looks like adorable, like wonderful lady. And Meghan is probably half that. The other half. That other half. Healthy people don't become actresses. I mean, not, they do. But if you're going like per capita around Hollywood, they've got more issues than the average. You know, they've got just a relentless need for attention. And I don't think that's healthy. Like Lady Gaga is talented, but I have never seen someone so addicted to attention in my life. In my life. She's like a weird middle schooler, like a theater kid, you know? Like I said, she's talented, but it's like, like she just, a little of that goes a really long way for me. That's not what we're here to talk about. And I feel like I'm going to get like so much hate mail from the little monsters. She's cool. I just don't want to be her personal friend. So Meghan Markle, like, yeah, like looking at her family, you're like, okay, I can kind of see where this like machination has come from. And when it comes to seduction, you really do have to have that neutrality. You have to have a larger goal in mind. I have learned a lot that I know about seduction from a book called The Art of Seduction. It's about this big. It is like the Bible. It is annotations. There's notes. I have to have spreadsheets. And it's interesting though, because in it, it calls the target that you're going after your victim. Not your lover, not your crush, not your bae, your victim. Because seduction isn't just about like sleeping with someone. You know, that's like, girls, please don't think that sleeping with a guy means that you seduced him. They will fuck literally anything. And dudes, don't think that like that is all it takes to get a woman either. I mean, it's part of it. Men conquer women through sex, women conquer men through relationships. And Meghan set her sight on seducing Harry very purposefully, because she identified his shadow self. And it's easier because he's in the public eye. So it's easier to have that neutrality and kind of like formulate a plan. You know, when you meet someone on Tinder, you meet them in a bar, it's really hard to separate and get that neutrality, which is why you should ask about the compliments thing. You know, and talk to them about their life. Be like, what's a dream that you felt like was always silly for you to go after? Did you ever want to be anything when you grew up and your parents like, no, you can't do that? Or like, who put you down when you were a kid? These will give you clues into the shadow self, right? And it should also give you some clues into yourself. Answer that question for yourself and try to identify what your shadow self is so that you don't get manipulated, so you don't get markled. So where are we now with Meghan and Harry? Well, she has alienated him from his family. She has built this sort of, and when you do that, when you alienate someone from their family, people are going to dig their heels in. You know, it's like a Kanye West song. I don't care what none of y'all say, I still love her, because he's doubled down on her. And it's like, he can't just be like, sorry, queen, grandma, you were right. She's a fucking bitch. And they've got a kid on the way. So Harry cognitively is all in. You can't have a cognitive dissonance of, I don't like this woman, we're having a child, and I've cut out my family for her. People can't labor under that kind of stress. Which brings me to her baby shower. Like I said, I've lived in New York a long time. I've been in the media business a long time. I know how easy it is to get around New York completely unnoticed. It's a big city, dense city. No one gives a shit who you are, where you're going. The fact that Meghan made such a spectacle about this tells me my overall theory about her. She doesn't want to be a princess as much as she wants to be a celebrity. And she doesn't understand the difference, which is going to be her downfall, because there is a difference. We as Americans don't inherently understand the difference. I don't want to be a princess. It sounds awful. It's like a bunch of imagine a party where all you do is make small talk and that party never ends. Like just walking, oh, thank you. Oh, that's so nice to see you. Oh, you watched the wedding. Thank you. Oh, tell us about this kitchen that you run. Great. Oh, like it would make me insane. I would be an anxiety monster. You really do have to be built for stuff like that. And Meghan is, because I believe she's kind of like a bottomless pit of attention needs. She always looks delighted when the paparazzi get her. Just this shit-eating grin on her face. Like, like she's just pulled a fast one. And so this baby shower was the big culmination of that. It was like a it was like a $500,000 baby shower. $200,000 was the cost of the private jet flight that she hopped with Amal and George Clooney back to England. So, silly me. But yeah, it was at a $75,000 a night hotel suite. All famous people. And again, it's like baby showers, like sit in a rocking chair, open your presents and have some cake. You know what I mean? This was so over the top that it's like it was another spectacle that I think was meant to further divide Harry from his family. Because when she does things like this, Harry kind of has to answer to the monarchy, like, what the fuck, dude? Like, this isn't how we do things. And when you marry into a royal family, you kind of have to do things the way they do things. It's sort of part of the plan. It's not like we're going to revolutionize it. No. When people try to revolutionize a monarchy, people end up at the guillotine. So maybe just stay away from that. And again, she's separating Harry and the family so that he will be so devoted to her, the stakes are too high for him to ever leave her. You know what I mean? This is an abuse tactic, honestly. Not saying she's abusive, but like guys do this to girls. Abusive men do this to women. It's like the first thing an abuser does is they isolate you. You're not getting any other feedback. You don't have a way out. You don't have a support system. You don't have a network. And it's a control tactic, you know? They lavish you with attention, and then when they pull it away, when they're mad at you or throwing a fit, you have no choice but to capitulate, because where the fuck are you going to go? Nowhere. You're alone. They are it. So you got to make it work. The whole thing just feels toxic. I hope for their sake it isn't. I mean, not like totally toxic, you know, but like it's a very weird dynamic that I wouldn't want in a relationship. I don't think the Queen of England wants it in her grandson's relationship. I don't think Will and Kate have it in their relationship. And I think we need to look at our lives and be like, is this at play in my own relationship sometimes? Am I being isolated? Am I isolating someone else? Why? What do I need them to be only on Shallon Island for? You know? Is my shadow self being preyed upon by someone who sees me as the seduction victim? Am I doing that to someone else? These are all just some food for thought. If you guys have more questions on this, leave in the comment section. I can totally do a follow-up video because, you know, this is just kind of the tip of the iceberg stuff. Also think about the concept of the book versus the reader. Who are you keeping in your life only because they are reading your book? Please remember that they're not the only literate person out there. They're not it. You are the masterpiece. Finding someone to read you is the easiest thing in the world. You just got to open up. It's all there. For more, click like and subscribe. And like I said, if you want to talk privately, find me on the Instant Go app. My username is ShallonXO and click chat. And follow me on social media, ShallonXO on Insta, Snap, and Twitter.